All right. My name is Bruce Brossman, Brossman, and I am the Arizona Regional Director of Sales and Marketing for Xanterra Parks and Resorts.
All right, perfect. And so we are talking today about the train and the experience of the train, which runs from Williams, Arizona, up into the Grand Canyon.
Correct.
All right, so I was able to experience this, and I want to say a big thank you because you guys gave me a really, really nice media package, so I had a couple tickets for the train ride and then a stay at the hotel in Williams, and it was an incredible experience. I haven't been to the Grand Canyon since I was a little girl, so getting to experience this as an adult who can fully appreciate it was just amazing. Can you give me a little bit of the background on the train itself?
Sure. Well, the Grand Canyon was discovered in the 1800s, and it was kind of out in the middle of nowhere, and really not too many people thought much of it. Miners originally tried to mine there, and the Spanish looked for gold, but, around the late 1800s, people started talking about what a beautiful place it was. So people started to hear about it, and they wanted to visit it. Well, until 1901, when the train came from Williams to the Grand Canyon, the only way to get there really was a horse or a stagecoach. And the stagecoach was hot, dusty, and very expensive. It was $25, and that was a lot of money back in those days. So Bucky O'Neill had started the Grand Canyon Railway to his Anita mines, and they were looking for gold, silver, and copper. Never really hit it big with any of the good metals, the gold and silver. But he really started to realize that perhaps the way to do it and make any money was to take the train to the Grand Canyon. Well, so he actually got funding and started the Grand Canyon Railway, but he got killed with Teddy Roosevelt and the Rough Riders in Cuba, Spanish-American War, and so he could never complete the train. So in 1901, the Atchison, Topeka, and Santa Fe Railway completed the line to the Grand Canyon. And immediately it became the way to go. It was comfortable, only 2.5 hours compared to a 10 or 12-hour stagecoach ride. It was $5 compared to $25, and it was very comfortable. And so all of a sudden, people could get there much quicker and much more comfortably. At the same time, the Santa Fe Railway started to advertise the Grand Canyon back east because they wanted people to come out and ride their train. So in 1905, they built El Tovar, which is a grand hotel right on the rim of the Grand Canyon, and hired the Fred Harvey Company to manage it, which was a management company that they were working with all along the Santa Fe Railway line. So in 1905, a fancy hotel opened, and now well-off tourists from the East Coast could come and ride the trains from the East Coast out and go all the way to the Grand Canyon. And that's really what was responsible for popularizing the Grand Canyon.
That's pretty amazing to have such a rich history to that part of the nation, out here out west, which obviously at that time was not very well populated, and to get people from the East Coast to come out here and visit that, and so affordably, is pretty incredible.
Well, yeah, it was expensive still in those days. Those were pretty wealthy tourists. They had to take a train all the way across the country, stay in a hotel, the Harvey House, which was called the Fray Marcos in Williams. That was built in 1908 as a train stop to overnight those passengers while they would go to the Grand Canyon. It was also run by the Fred Harvey Company. Fred Harvey had a chain of restaurants and hotels throughout the West, which he really developed and created with a chain hotel concept in mind that was really the first of that kind. Today it's copied by many different companies. Howard Johnson, McDonald's is the primary example of standardization. You can have a Big Mac in Hong Kong or Williams, Arizona, and taste the same. Mm-hmm. And so Fred Harvey created that consistency throughout the West, and it really was an upgrade to existing dining and food options out here. And of course, he hired the Harvey girls, who were waitresses. As their empire grew out west, they didn't have enough staff, and the men weren't working out very well. They couldn't stay out of trouble, so they started to recruit well-mannered and well-bred women from the East Coast to come out on a grand adventure and work for the Fred Harvey Company. So not only did Fred Harvey civilize the West and help do that, but he also helped populate the West because there were hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of these Harvey girls that moved out here, and most of them stayed. Once they were out here, they stayed. They got married and had children and populated the West. So it's quite a story, really. And unfortunately, in 1969, the automobile became so popular that it just put the passenger train to the Grand Canyon out of business. In 1989, it was brought back into service by two entrepreneurs from Scottsdale, Arizona, and they grew it into a very successful business, starting really with nothing but a train and a 1908 depot. And they had to refurbish all the tracks all the way into the park, and that was a big, big job. And in 2007, Xanterra Parks and Resorts purchased the Grand Canyon Railway. So now we operate the hotel, the train, and not all the lodging anymore, but most of the lodging in the south rim of the Grand Canyon.
And you've really worked to preserve some of that history, I've noticed. There's the museum within the El Tovar Hotel at the Grand Canyon, but then also with keeping the Wild West theme, even in Williams, where you pick up the train and head up to the Grand Canyon. There was a really fun Old West show that happened just before we boarded the train, and then you've got the cowboys riding on the train. So preserving that history, it seems to be an important part of the experience.
It really is. The train goes back, like I said, to 1901, and we want it to be more than just transportation. We want it to be fun. We want some history, people to learn some history. Our PSAs on the train, our passenger service attendants give some history of the train cars and the Grand Canyon. You mentioned the Fred Harvey History Room, which is in the Bright Angel Lodge. That gives you a glimpse into the Fred Harvey history. That's free to the public. You can just go there and see some of the old menus and some of the old plates and china that they used, and some pictures of Mary Coulter and Fred himself, and really learn about the history of that a very, very important company that helped to settle and civilize the West. So, and then of course on the way back we have our train robbery, which is kind of fun. You know, it's just, people don't have to participate if they don't want to, but it's basically an opportunity to give the robbers who entertained you in the morning and the marshal who entertains you and talks to you on the train, get your picture taken with them, give them a couple of bucks and have fun with them for the day's entertainment. And it is optional. You don't have to participate if you don't want to, and it's meant to be fun, and we hope it is fun for everybody.
Yes, and and it was really fun, actually. One of the things that I noticed also was on the train itself. Like I said, I haven't visited the Grand Canyon since I was a little girl, but I really appreciated going back as an adult. Now, on the train, I was in the luxury class cars, and that has an age limit. So I believe it is 16 and over, which as an adult who's traveling without children, I really appreciated being able to have just a quiet time and really experience the environment and see all of the the landscape and everything as we're going through. But I noticed many families on the other cars that were enjoying themselves just as well, with the little kids who were having a good time, seeing everything and experiencing everything. Do you get a good reception with keeping a couple of the cars that are for a more mature group, and then having your family cars that are also filled with a lot of fun family things?
Oh, absolutely. It's a family experience, primarily multi-generational travel, grandma, kids and grandkids, very common. But we think it's important to have adult cars as well. So we have the luxury dome and the luxury parlor cars reserved for 16 and over. But a few years ago, we opened up our observation dome class to kids 2 and up. And for years, families had wanted to ride in the dome cars. And that was immediately a hit. Parents just love taking their kids up above, high above the rails. They can see further, and it's a real special experience riding up in those dome cars. As a matter of fact, we just spent a year and over $1 million refurbishing another dome car. So for 2016, we will now have 4 dome cars, which have first-class seating on the bottom and dome class on the top. So we really have a class of service for everyone, from the Pullman class, which is our least expensive car, which a family of 4 can travel to the Grand Canyon and back for under $200, which is great. You still get Western entertainment. You can walk through the train to the cafe car. You can buy ice cream, soda, card games, beer, wine for mom and dad, a little snack if you need it. And in first class and up, we offer continental breakfast and bar service in the car. Mm-hmm. And on the way back, you get the cheese and crackers and vegetables and dips, kind of a snack to get you back to Williams. And that's all included, as well as, of course, unlimited sodas and coffee and things like that. So from first class and up, you get a couple of, not meals, but certainly enough to tide you over in the morning and the afternoon to get to and from Williams. So in the luxury classes, that food is upgraded a little bit because those are our most expensive seats. I think the best part about the luxury classes is the outdoor platform. You probably went out there.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And
that's really special to be able to be outside the train. And obviously we wouldn't want little kids out there.
Right.
That probably wouldn't be good.
It was a little wobbly just for me being out there, but I'm not the most sure-footed person.
Well, it's pretty neat being outside the train and hearing the train going across the tracks, and it's just it's my favorite place to ride on the train.
Yes, it's beautiful. So obviously I went in January. There was snow on the Grand Canyon. It was picturesque and gorgeous. I imagine that you have the busier season is maybe during the summer when school is out and more families are traveling and the weather is not so snowy. Is that right?
Absolutely. We start to get busy around mid-March, and that is spring break usually. And depending on when Easter falls, we're busy for about a month or more. And then we have a little lull before summer as the kids go back to school and before they're out of school. And then June, July, August, and now into September are very busy for us. They're also very busy at the Grand Canyon, of course. Very popular months to visit. So, but we rarely sell out. The lodges in the park are often sold out, but we also sell packages that include a lodging at the park. So sometimes you can actually take the train in and stay overnight when you may not be able to just get a room because of those packages that we sell.
Right.
So, but it is best if you want to stay overnight in the Grand Canyon to reserve as far in advance as you possibly can. If you're not going to do the Grand Canyon overnight, we rarely sell out on the train, if ever. Mm-hmm. We just run a second train about half an hour later. Mm-hmm. And our hotel in Williams has 297 rooms, so we rarely sell out there either. But we do. In spring break and some summer months, we certainly get close.
So I'm going to be putting together an article with a bunch of photos from my trip up on my personal blog, which is fromthegoldenwest.com, so our listeners can head over there and see some pictures and read about my experience. Do you have any tips that you would give to people who are wanting to come and have this experience as well?
Well, I think just be prepared to relax. Mm-hmm. It's totally different than riding in a car. You can get out of the car, relax, talk to your family, just really take a step back in time as far as travel goes, not be so rushed, really relax and enjoy the way people traveled to Grand Canyon a long time ago. And I think that, any class of service is fun, coach class, first class, any class, whatever your budget will allow. I do think that the first class and the observation dome classes are great for families because they do include that continental breakfast in the morning with coffee and tea and the sweet rolls and the fruit, and kids seem to like that, and adults as well with the coffee and that sort of thing. And then on the way back, you do get the snacks in those classes, and particularly in the observation dome class, the kids it's really special for them to ride up high and just look around and see if you can see any antelope or elk or any kind of animals that might be. Wintertime is great to travel because it's just not very crowded at the Grand Canyon.
Right.
The meals, you can go to El Tovar, you can have a special meal there, and it's not very crowded. You don't have to have dinner at El Tovar either. You can have breakfast or lunch, and that's just as good or special as dinner is. Or you can go down to the Bright Angel, or you can just walk along the rim. And I will say that the photography in the wintertime is probably the most spectacular that you'll find at the Grand Canyon, other than maybe in thunderstorms and things like that, events like that. So winters, the rates are low, and there aren't that many people. It's a great time to travel. There is no bad time to go to the Grand Canyon. So I think it's a great, great family experience.
Well, Bruce, I want to thank you for your time today, and again, thank you for the media package. It was an experience of a lifetime. I will never forget that experience. It was wonderful. So,
well, great.